How's it going, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to my channel. So tonight I want to do another Criterion haul. I haven't done one of these since November. I took most of December off with Christmas time, that kind of thing. But I love Criterions. I collect them all the time. You can see all the Criterions over here. I usually try to find them for a good price. Usually Barnes and Noble does their sale in July and November, the 50% off sale, and then Criterion themselves do usually a sale in like February, March, and then they do another one like in October. So if I can find them there, or like Walmart.com or Amazon or eBay, or if I go to like Half Price Books or the Exchange, if I can find them for a reasonable price somewhere, I'll still collect them. But tonight I have 5 titles. Actually, 4 out of the 5 are actually blind buys, which is I've gotten to the point now. I've collected so many Criterions now that I'm finally getting to the point where I'm buying movies that I've never seen, and I found a lot of really great ones in this collection. But so this first one was actually released in 1989, spine number 938, and the movie is Sex, Lies, and Videotape. This is directed by Steven Soderbergh. He has James Spader, Andy McDowell, Peter Gallagher, has Laura San Giacomo. I was expecting this movie to be much wilder than it is. I think for '89, maybe this movie was kind of wild, but I was expecting so much different, and it's not. Over these years, I was expecting this really wild movie, but it's kind of an art house kind of movie. It's Soderbergh's first his debut. Apparently, I'm really glad I bought this now because it's from 2018, the most recent Criterion release. And apparently, I found out in one of the special features that they had problems with the sound for years. And they finally, like around 2018, they finally got the sound to a level where people really enjoyed it. And I guess they were able to take like a lot of the noise out of it and kind of just give you just the audio, because it was a big problem. And so I'm glad I didn't see it back then, because I would have probably not liked the movie as much. And I actually really enjoy this movie. Like I said, it's kind of an art house kind of thing, kind of low budget movie. But I thought the cast was really great in this movie, and so I really enjoyed it. So the second title here is actually one I actually saw in the theater, so it's the only one I've seen before. It's spine number 1192. It's from 2022. It's a Moonage Daydream. It's about David Bowie, basically. It's a documentary about him. It's directed by Brett Morgan. This is really great. It's kind of a long movie, and I enjoyed it so much more the second time of seeing it at home, and then I watched it again with commentary with the director. And I found out that the director nearly had a heart attack while he was making this movie. It's a documentary, so obviously he worked on it probably for 2 or 3 years at least. And it shows a lot of footage from David Bowie back in the '70s and just stuff from the '80s. His more commercial period there in the early '80s, Let's Dance, that kind of stuff. A lot of great stuff in it though. He made a choice not to put like all the hits like in a row. He kind of spread some of his catalog out. Some of the David Bowie songs out throughout the movie. So unless you're a really hardcore David Bowie fan, you may not enjoy this as much. But so I would consider myself to be a kind of a moderate David Bowie fan. I love his album Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. I think it's one of the greatest rock albums ever, and it's released in like 1972, years ago. David Bowie obviously, he passed away in 2017, I believe. So but I like a lot of the hits from David Bowie. I have his the Essential David Bowie, and then the Ziggy Stardust album. That's all I have from David Bowie. But I know quite a bit of his music from over the years. He's made some commercial like hits and a lot of non-mainstream kind of stuff too. So you get a kind of mix of that in this. Some stuff when you hear some of these songs you never heard before, and then they hear like a hit, one of his hits pop up in the movie. It's like you kind of want to keep seeing the hits over and off and on, but it really it makes you kind of want to kind of investigate David Bowie's catalog a lot more, and kind of listen to a little bit more and get find out more about those deep cuts and stuff like that this director pulled out of there. But yeah, I enjoy this a lot though. So the third title tonight is actually probably the oldest movie I have in my collection now. It's from 1938. It's spine number 1085, and the movie is Bringing Up Baby. This is from director Howard Hawks. For years I've heard John Carpenter talk about how much he loves Howard Hawks movies. Howard Hawks he was involved, I think, in the writing or producing of the original Thing, which John Carpenter did a remake of in 1982 with Kurt Russell, one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. But Howard Hawks, I thought he did a great job in this. They did some stuff with special effects at the time that were really innovative. I think this stuff that they did with like with animals to kind of keep the animals away from the cast. But I thought it's a really funny movie. There's another movie with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn I want to get sometime in the future. It's a movie called Holiday, and it looks like they did that one like a year or two after this one. So sometime in there, a little bit after this one, but obviously the chemistry between Hepburn and Grant was so great that they wanted to team up again. So yeah, I really want to check that one out, and I really recommend people check this one out as well. So the fourth title tonight is actually one I watched on New Year's Day. It's a spine number 265. It's from 1993, and the movie is Shortcuts. This is directed by Robert Altman. I thought this was a kind of outstanding. It's just like 3 hours and 8 minutes. It's a really long movie. It didn't seem like it was quite that long, but if you see all the storylines that they kind of weave together in the movie, and there's like 25, I think, characters in the movie. So you have all those characters to kind of introduce, and then all the characters you have to kind of end their storylines, at the end. So I kind of understand why it took so long to film it, but a lot of interesting topics, a lot of social topics in it, just how people treat each other, and just how they would react to certain events in their lives, and just how people kind of treat each other. And I enjoy this a lot, and I've checked out like probably three or four Robert Altman movies now, and I've kind of enjoyed them a lot. He's kind of interesting director. He was really opinionated kind of director, but I love the cast in this. It had so many stars, and so many people: Andy McDowell, Bruce Davison, Matthew Modine, had Ann Archer. Madeline Stowe, Robert Downey Jr. is in it, so you get a whole cast there that's just a lot of stars, a lot of Hollywood stars in it. Some of them were in 1993 had not become big stars yet. They were known, but they weren't superstars at the time. So this movie's like a low budget kind of movie. It looks good overall on Blu-ray. So I enjoyed it. This is one I actually bought at Half Price Books, and so yeah, I'm glad I bought it. Obviously, I'm kind of getting it more into Robert Altman movies now, but so yeah, I enjoy this one too. So the fifth and final title tonight is actually spine number 842. It's from 1990, and the movie is Dreams. This is from the great director Akira Kurosawa. And this is like the fourth movie I've seen from him. I have Seven Samurai. Obviously, I think everybody in the collection should have that one. That's spine number 2. I've got the Throne of Blood, and I have the Hidden Fortress. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. It's from 1990, like I said. It's interesting because this is like the third from the last movie that Kurosawa actually ever did. And it was interesting because Martin Scorsese he's actually in one of the segments in the movie. This is basically this is from Kurosawa. He had these like 8 dreams that he wanted to put on film, an idea, and I think he had trouble getting financing for this movie. Obviously, it's in Japanese. It has subtitles in it, so. But interesting when Martin Scorsese's in the movie, it's actually in English during his segment. But yeah, they use I guess Steven Spielberg helped get this movie produced. It has George Lucas helped with some of the effects. He let Kurosawa use Industrial Light and Magic. And if you can watch there's like an hour and almost like 2.5 hour documentary in this movie, and they show Martin Scorsese, and they show George Lucas, and then it seems like with George Lucas they kind of cut him off every time he talks. They kind of cut him off in the documentary. That's right, he talks and they kind of cut and talks again just a little bit, and they kind of cut him off. But he let them use Industrial Light and Magic, and I thought the effects in this weren't great. This is obviously before Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park. Industrial Light and Magic helped with those, did those effects in those movies. But so this is really early, 1990. I think it was filmed in '89. So those effects hadn't been perfected yet, but I thought they did a pretty good job at the time for 1990. I thought the effects were decent in it. But yeah, and it follows this character named I, and that character is in like every scene. I think it starts off with a little boy in the first two segments, the first 2 dreams, and then the rest are with the same guy throughout. And it's got a lot of eerie images in it, and just kind of interesting ideas and stuff that Kurosawa had at the time. So yeah, this is another one I bought at Half Price Books. So I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I finally wanted to see it. It was on my list. Obviously, I keep a running list of Criterions. Every time I hear more people recommend Criterions, I put it on the list, investigate it quite a bit, and just see who the cast and director is, and I just check it out. So yeah, but I'd say this is probably my least favorite of the four Kurosawa movies I've seen, but I still enjoyed it though. So thanks for watching tonight. I really appreciate everybody watching my videos. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Please put a thumbs up in this video. It definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps my channel grow. And everybody have a great one. Thank you. Bye.